Welcome back to your Daily Dose. My name is Robert, here with my pal Eric, a young man with Parkinson's, and we were discussing the diagnosis journey, which really culminated in 2018 with the actual diagnosis. And where we left off was a movement disorder specialist who was a neurologist as well, or did I get that?
When I called the second hospital, once again, still haven't heard the term movement disorder specialist. Don't know what the term means. Call the other hospital, schedule a neurology appointment. This neurologist walks in, gets 4 feet into the room, and says, "You're too young to have Parkinson's, but if I was a betting man, I'd bet you have Parkinson's." I'm like, "Well, that's an odd conversation."
Well, let's just hold it there because I think when we talk about the importance of rebranding Parkinson's, that part of the conversation is so important, right? The fact that a medical expert, and again, I'm not trying to blame or anything else, but this is
Hmm.
about communication and storytelling, would say, you're too young to have it. Now, as we know, unfortunately, that's just not true. There are people
Yeah.
diagnosed in their early 20s,
Oh. Yeah.
and it's not as common, but it's not that it doesn't happen. And when an authority says you're too young to have this, it's like that's not the correct messaging.
I got an even funnier story for you
Go
later
ahead.
on because it's insane. So I'm like, okay. So he's like, I'm like, so what are we doing? So he's like, I'm gonna rule out stroke. I'm gonna rule out stroke, lesions, whatever, because it was all right sided. It's still right sided, but it's all right sided. He goes, then he starts explaining how when my grandmother had it, they would give you the medication, and if the symptoms went away, they'd give you the carbidopa levodopa, and if the symptoms went away, that's how you diagnose. He's like, but I want to do a DAT scan. He explains what the DAT scan is. He goes back and forth with my insurance for 3 months. Now, this was July 1st. For 3 months, he goes back and forth saying that he wants to give it to me. I get an email saying that the IME said no, yada, yada. And then that's it. They denied the CAT scan or the DAT scan. I'm like, a couple of days later, I'm like, I'm horrible at emails. So like a week later, I'm like, wait, what do I do now? Like, I'm like, I still haven't what's what? So I send them a message. Hey, what do I do now? Since it was no, you're not gonna give me the test. They responded with, you can deal with the tremors or start taking medication.
That's it.
That's it.
That's what you get.
A little blurb on a yeah.
Wow. And
I
by the way,
was
backing this up so people hear this, you're already an EMT by training and purpose.
by training worked at a nursing home at the time. I was working at a trauma center in New Jersey, a pediatric trauma center.
And how long have you been doing that work?
Um, 8 years.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so you're seasoned. You
Oh
know
yeah.
the field.
Worked at a nursing home 3 years prior to that. So I had been in healthcare for about 12 years at the time.
So when you as someone in the field gets that type of messaging about this life-changing and potentially devastating of a diagnosis, what is your reaction?
I was like that. I was like that's not the right answer. I'm like and I said I was like that's not the proper answer because there's things that I need to do. There's like because I knew about carbidopa levodopa and so I'm like, I have to talk to my cardiologist. Like, there's stuff that I need to do before I start taking the medication, and it's not just there has to be more than just one medication out there. Once again, didn't know much about Parkinson's because I had also the pitfall that when I heard Parkinson's, I pictured my grandmother.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that was my first thought is I have my grandmother's Parkinson's, and I say that for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was my first notion.
Right.
Luckily in hindsight now it's September. I still have that October appointment because I never canceled it. I took it, so I canceled it. My doctor who was scheduled goes on maternity leave that same month. Goes to maternity leave in September, but they never cancel my appointment. So now I'm starting to do my research and getting information. So I walk into the appointment and I'm there. She's asking me questions and I'm talking blah blah, and I'm like, aren't you the neurologist? Because I'm saying things or she's saying things and I'm correcting her. She goes, oh no, I deal with stroke. You're seeing the MDS. They went on maternity leave. This is just an intake. I'm like, You think you could have told me that when I came to the appointment? I was just like, and so I'm batting 1,000 with the medical professionals, and I'm like, this is insane. So now they rescheduled me for February 20th of 2018 to see a movement disorder specialist, or me see the movement disorder team. So this is when I first hear the term movement disorder specialist. Once again, just not paying attention, just going about my day. Walk in, the lady, the nurse practitioner is like, do this, do that, stand here. She pushes, she pulls, quack quack. She's like, you have Parkinson's. I was like, what medications do I need to take? She's like, we're gonna talk about there's 5 out there. We're only gonna talk about 4. She had a very in length and detailed discussion about each of them. I said I want to try the dopamine antagonist because it has the quickest turnaround as far as symptoms reducing, blah blah blah. And she goes, any other questions? I said no, I'm good, and I walked out.
So
Oh
this was
my,
a matter of fact kind of thing, it sounds
yeah,
like.
it was. Oh yeah, because by that time I had bought the T-shirt, signed up for the membership, bought the vacation package for Parkinson's. Like I was dead set. Like if she had said you had a MS, I would have been floored. Like I'd have been
Right.
devastated.
So you were ready for that, like you said, and the way she handled it. Did she know much about your background? So she was able, because it sounds like she delivered in a matter of fact kind of way. Did she know
Yeah.
who you were or kind of what the run up to this meeting was at all? Do you know?
I don't think so, but like she was like, and knowing her for how much I know her now, she's very knowledgeable about the medication, and she's very personal, and she talks to you at a personal level and explain things. So
Yeah,
that was just
but
her nature.
there wasn't any proclamation one way or the other, is what I'm hearing. Like, again, you're too young for this, or like my dad, he got what was it? His neurologist told him, you're going to be in a wheelchair. It might be 6 months or 30
No,
years from
no, no, no.
now.
She was very matter of fact, direct, and saying, "Hey, you have Parkinson's. This is what these are the meds." Because the minute she said I have Parkinson's, I was like, "What meds do I take?" Like
Right.
it wasn't a pause of me going, "What do you mean I have Parkinson's?"
No, yeah, yeah. So you guided her in some regard, but also it
Yeah.
sounds like she also has enough professionalism, in my opinion, anyway,
Oh yeah,
to
yeah,
not give these hyperbolic things. And maybe that happens. In fairness, this is part of the rebranding. When a doctor does see a oh my god or the what the hell, and they're trying to wrap their hands around something that nobody can wrap their hands around. I mean, that's the
yeah.
problem, right? When somebody tries to define it, sorry, it's not definable through one vision or one
No.
person.
And one of my pet peeves is when the medical profession used the word treat to talk about Parkinson's. Because if you're treating it, that means you know the source and you know how to. So my soapbox is manage. We're going to manage your condition by treating the symptoms of Parkinson's.
Let's come back and talk about that specific phrasing, because I think it's important, and all the right language is important in rewriting this
Yeah.
branding. So let's come back to management and the nature of Parkinson's on our next episode. Okay. See you in a minute.